Your property doesn't make you money when you buy it, it makes you money when you exit. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people in the UAE spend months obsessing over the entry price and completely freestyle their exit. And that's how profit turns into I barely broke even. So today I'm giving you the exit nobody plans for. How to actually sell property in the UAE without losing money. I'm Deepak Tolani, banker first, real estate advisor second. The exit nobody plans for. How to actually sell property in the UAE without losing money. Not theory, real mechanics, real numbers, real steps. First, let's ground this in the size of the battlefield. According to Reuters, Dubai's real estate transaction hit $761 billion last year, about $207 billion, up roughly 60% year on year. That kind of volume is why people think selling here is easy. But volume doesn't mean liquidity for your specific unit. Liquidity depends on product, type, stack, layout, view, and whether your paperwork is clean. And here's the second reality you need to respect in 2026. Supply. Fitch has said Dubai could deliver around 210,000 units across 25 and 26. More supply is not bad. It just means your exit has to be smarter. You need to sell what the market wants. At the moment, the market wants it with numbers that make sense. Now let's get tactical. When investors say, I want to sell without losing money, what you really mean is I want to sell without getting murdered by friction. Friction is everything that sits between your buyer and your cash. Fees, timing, mortgage clearance, NOCs, valuation gaps, negotiation leakage, and bad agent behavior. So I'm going to give you the exit equation. Grab yourself a pen and paper. This is the formula you'd want to keep handy. Your real profit equals sales price minus all selling friction minus time cost minus opportunity cost. And selling friction is not one fee, it's a stack. In Dubai secondary sales, a buyer typically pays the yearly transfer fee, often quoted at 4% of the purchase price, and there are additional admin and trustee charges depending on the transaction route. As a seller, your main pain is usually agency commission, mortgage settlement, developer NOC, and the small but deadly admin layers that slow you down. For example, broker commission in Dubai is commonly around 2% plus VAT for secondary transactions, and if you're selling with a mortgage, the bank can charge an early settlement fee. The Central Bank of UAE's consumer protection rules caps this at 1% of the outstanding balance or 10,000 dirhams, whichever is lower. That's not a rounding error. That's a line item that can wipe out a month of rental yield in one shot. Then there is the developer no objection certificate in Dubai. The NOC fee varies by developer. Market guides commonly cite figures in few thousand dirhams range, often around 5,000 depending on the project. And here's what no one tells you, not just the fee, is the delay. A delayed NOC delays transfer. A delayed transfer kills impatient buyers. Killed buyer kills your negotiation power. So step 1 of an elite exit is simple. De-risk the process before you list. Before you even post a price, you do what I call the exit readiness checklist. You confirm if your title deed is ready or if it is still under interim registration. You clear any service charge arrears. You check if there are penalties or restrictions on resale. If it's mortgage, you request your liability letter and understand the bank timeline. And if it is off-plan, you confirm the developer's resale or assignment rules. Because off-plan resale can have different fee structures and approvals. Because here's the truth, buyers don't walk away when they dislike your unit. They walk away when the process feels messy. Now step 2, pricing like an adult. This is where most sellers lose money without even realizing it. The UAE is a search-driven market. Buyers sort by price. If your unit is overpriced, you don't just wait longer, you become invisible. And every extra week on the market is not neutral. It's a negotiation signal. It tells buyers this seller is flexible, so you get lowballed harder. A clean pricing approach in Dubai is not what I want. It's what did the last 3 comparable units in my building sell for. Adjusted for view, floor, layout, and condition. Then you decide, do you want a fast exit or a maximum price exit? Fast exit pricing is typically match the most recent serious competition or sit slightly below the next best alternative. Maximum price exit requires a differentiated unit, scarcity, perfect presentation, and the patience to reject weak buyers. And this leads to the next big rule of exits in the UAE. Your unit doesn't compete with the entire city. It competes with the best 3 alternatives on the buyer's shortlist. If those 3 are stronger, you lose, even if Dubai is booming. Now step 3. Know what actually sells fastest in each market cycle. In Dubai, liquidity does not scatter evenly. It concentrates. It clusters in location where end-user demand never switches off, because that creates multiple buyer pools at exit. Families, upgrader end users, long-term landlords, and yield investors. That's why established master plan corridors consistently absorb inventory even when sentiment cools. Prices may reset, but transactions don't freeze. This is exactly why communities like the Valley by Emaar matter for an exit strategy. Valley is not a speculative high-rise supply. It is a low-rise family-driven product in a fully planned Emaar ecosystem with 3 and 4 bedroom townhouses and villas, generous layouts, internal parks, schools, retails, and community infrastructure already embedded into the master plan. These are homes designed for people who actually live there. That matters because end-user driven communities exit faster and cleaner, especially in the townhouse and villa segment where supply is structurally limited and scarcity is already proving its power. As reported by Khaleej Times, Dubai's prime waterfront villa prices have surged over 140% in recent years, driven largely by limited supply and sustained end-user demand. That same scarcity logic applies to well-planned villa communities inland. When supply is capped and the buyer profile is genuine, sellers gain leverage at exit. You're not negotiating against discounts, you are negotiating against waiting lists. Second, Sobha Sanctuary in Dubai land fits the same exit-friendly framework, but with a different positioning. Phase 1 is capped at just 600 villas and townhouses, which immediately limits competing resale stock. It sits roughly 25 to 30 minutes from downtown and Business Bay, with direct access to major highways and employment zones. Low launch density, strong connectivity, and an end-user product mix are exactly the ingredients that support resale depth later, not just headline appreciation during launch. Projects like the Valley by Emaar, which is Serra Phase 2, Suleve Residences, and Beyond Development's master plan communities are strong examples of assets built for confident exits, not speculative flips. The Valley Serra Phase 2 offers 3 and 4 bedroom townhouses ranging from 2,400 to 2,800 square foot, positioned in a family-driven corridor along Dubai Al Ain Road, where Emaar's phase releases and end-user absorption historically support resale depth post-handover. Suleve, with its limited inventory and mid-rise configuration, benefits from scarcity at the building level, which directly improves pricing power during resale, especially once leasing stabilizes. Beyond's master plan developments, as outlined in the Dubai Maritime City Master Plan, are designed around controlled density, lifestyle zoning, and long-term population absorption, which typically leads to slower but far more predictable exits, particularly for well-sized units aligned to real end-user demand. In exit terms, these projects work because they sit in environments where supply is staged, demand is sticky, and replacement stock is neither instant nor cheap, giving sellers leverage when it actually matters. What makes these assets powerful for exit is not hype, it is math. Limited supply plus genuine residential demand equals pricing power when you sell. When the next buyer is someone upgrading their life, not flipping a spreadsheet, exits become smoother, timelines shorten, and discounts shrink. And that's the real rule of exits in the UAE. You don't plan to sell where everyone else is selling. You plan to sell where people are waiting to buy. If you want to understand which of these options actually fits your exit horizon, capital structure, and risk tolerance, feel free to reach out and we can break it down properly. But here's the 2026 twist. With more completions coming, your safer exits will actually be one of the 3 asset types. 1. Units with defensible views. 2. Units with irreplaceable location convenience like direct access, walkability, transit, beach, or landmark adjacency. 3. Units with layout superiority, because bad layouts become dead inventory in a crowded market. And that brings me to the view reality, because views decide pricing power at exit. A view in the UAE is not romance, it's geometry. The UAE is built on master plan districts and layered development. If your view depends on land that isn't built yet, you don't own that view, you're borrowing it. So how do you decipher a view what's worth paying for? Across the UAE, residential landscape waterfront homes delivered 52% 5-year capital appreciation versus 31% for non-waterfront in 2019 to 2024. An average rental yields tracked 6% versus 4% for non-waterfront in the same period, meaning the protected edge premium isn't just emotional. It's historically been plus 21 percentage points more appreciation plus 2 percentage points yield, which is exactly why waterfront exits stay liquid when the market cools. You look for protected edges, water edges, park edges, golf edges, and government-protected corridors. You avoid future development plot views unless you have written confirmation of what will rise there and when. And you ask one brutal question: if the plot in front gets built tomorrow, does my premium can't disappear? If the answer is yes, that is not a luxury view, that is a temporary screenshot. Now step 4, choose the exit route that matches your asset type. In UAE resale, you generally exit one of the 3 ways. 1, standard secondary sale with a buyer and a transfer process. 2, off-plan resale or assignment if permitted. 3, institutional exit, meaning you sell to a bulk buyer, a landlord or a network buyer where speed matters more than squeezing the last 1%. Most people only know option 1. Professionals keep option 2 and 3 ready because they protect them when markets shift. Now step 5, master the timeline. If you want to sell without losing money, you must stop thinking of selling at the listing. It's a transaction pipeline. A clean, realistic Dubai resale timeline often includes buyer negotiations, signing the MOU, deposit placement, NOC request, mortgage clearance, if applicable, and transfer to the trustee. Each stage has a failure point. Your job is to remove failure points before the buyer gets nervous. And here's a simple KPI you can use. If your buyer can't see a clear, confident timeline from offer to transfer, they will start shopping again. That's not because they are rude. It's because in Dubai, there are always other options. Now step 6, don't get hypnotized by net to owner games. Some sellers focus only on the sale price and forget what they actually receive. You should always negotiate using net to seller thinking. That means you already know your mortgage settlement cost, your commission, your NOC range, and your admin friction. And you set a price that protects your outcome. Because if you don't do the math early, you will do it later under pressure with the buyer threatening to walk away. Now step 7, be strategic about seasonality and buyer behavior. The UAE is a global buyer market. Activity often spikes around launch seasons, relocation cycles, and investor windows. When flight traffic, tourism, and corporate movement increase, viewing activity rises. The job is to list when buyers are active, not when you're bored. If your unit is investor targeted, you sell it with investor language, numbers, rental comparables, operating cost, vacancy assumptions. If your unit is end user targeted, you sell it with lifestyle and certainty. That is schools, commute, community, privacy, layout, parking, noise, and sunlight. Same property, different buyer brain. Now let's talk about the one thing sellers hate: negotiation. If you want to protect the margin, you need 2 things: evidence and calm. Evidence means recent comparables and a clear story for why your unit is priced where it is. Calm means you don't negotiate against yourself. Here's a simple negotiation rule I want you to steal. Never discount because a buyer asks. Discount only when the buyer proves commitment. Commitment looks like deposit readiness, mortgage pre-approval, a clean timeline, and willingness to follow the process. So I'm going to give you the most important exit strategy in the UAE, the one that turns selling into a system. Build your exit on day 1. When you buy, you should already know who my future buyer is, investor or end user. Why is my liquidity rank inside this building? Best stack for average stack. Is my view at risk? What is my service charge sensitivity? What is my plan B exit if my plan A buyer disappears? Because the UAE doesn't punish bad buying as brutally as it punishes the bad planning. You can buy a decent unit and still lose money if you exit like an amateur. And here's the final truth: the best exits in UAE are not always the highest prices. They are the cleanest transactions. The ones where the seller is prepared, the paperwork is ready, the pricing is real, and buyer feels safe. So if you're serious about protecting your money here, start treating exit like a strategy, not a hope. Run the equation, remove the friction, choose assets with defensible demand, and when you sell, sell like someone who has done it before. Because in the UAE, the market rewards speed, clarity, and correct math, not wishful thinking. This was the Deep Talk, and if you want to make all the wise moves in the UAE real estate, subscribe to this channel and connect with me for in-person meetings to get you the best deals in real estate. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.